Hello again, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well and everyone is getting vaccinated. Read somewhere that like 50% of US adults are either fully vaccinated or it's still in the process of getting vaccinated, but they still have one shot. So hopefully most of the fam is in the 50%. You know what I'm saying? If you're not, go get that vaccine. And if you're anti-vax, maybe we need to get you on the podcast so we can have an honest conversation about science. Just to get that out of the way. Anyway, to think that this time last year, we were all in quarantine, your boy was unemployed, unmotivated, and, well, just not doing healthy things. But I was waiting for this moment to hit, and now that this moment is here, I'm not happy, as you could have probably told by my thought of the week. Anyway, this week's episode is going to be a little different. I honestly thought that it was a little important to bring on one of the biggest guests that this podcast has ever seen. And I'm really excited to introduce him. His name is Anuj Changavi. Yep. This week, I decided to do something, again, a little different. Put myself out there. Since I realized that people really don't know much about me. And I need to make myself out there a little more. Put myself out there, so to speak. And show people maybe a little something to help answer this question, the essential question of this week, which is, who is the real Anuj Changavi? So, who better to help answer this question than the man himself, who is just America's second favorite brown boy? You can assume who the first is. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this more personal episode, answering quite a bit of questions, talking about life, whatnot, And even if you do think you know me, I think you're going to find out some things about me that maybe you didn't know, and maybe some stories. So sit back and enjoy watching or listening, whatever you're doing. Grab a snack, enjoy, and watch as I expose myself to the internet. So, cue it up. Coming to you live from my parents' house, we got episode 18 of the Essential Question podcast. And today, I am honored to be joined by none other than myself. Yes, I'm my own guest here for episode 18. Decided to do a little solo episode this week. Partially because, I feel like you guys don't really know who I am, but also, I just kind of want to try something a little different, kind of show my personality off a little bit. But yeah, it's going to be a solo podcast this week, which is interesting. I know I don't really deem myself an expert on a lot of things, and that's true. But the essential question this week, let's get right into that, is who is the real Anuj Changavi? And I've been thinking about this question a lot recently. Sorry for that mic adjustment. That was a little weird. I've been thinking about this question a lot recently. And honestly, like I've been genuinely just going through and really trying to think about like, how do I present myself to the podcast, and like what do people on this podcast like really think I am, and like who do they think I am, and what do they think I'm like? And I feel like everyone has this image of each other, right? I mean, this goes with anyone you meet in your life, right? Like I have an image of the people that listen to this, or I have an image of my friend, and my friend has an image of who they see of me. And so this is kind of just like pulling the curtain back a little bit. Sort of a self-interview, so to speak, sort of a Q&A type thing. Nothing too, crazy or, intricate questions are going to come out of this one, I don't think. If they do, let me know. But yeah, it's just going to be me today. And I'm just going to so basically, okay, wait, hold on. It's going to be me today. It's a little weird, so apologize for all this stammering and stuff, because it really feels like I'm speaking into the camera, which is very strange for me. But I'm excited to get right into this, and let's see where it goes. But basically, what I did for the formatting, let's just hop right in. So I was kind of stuck in terms of like, well, how I wanted to really approach this episode, right? Because I feel like I could have done this in a variety of ways. So I could have been like, all right, maybe I want to approach the episode in like talking to you guys about who I am, right? I could just read off a script, or I could, just like freestyle it and just start listing stuff off or whatever. But I kind of realized like maybe I need a little more structure to the conversation. Maybe I need, um, maybe there should be a little more structure to this particular conversation with you guys that I'm having to myself, which is really a strange dynamic overall. But it's episode 18. We try new things, 2021. So but nah. Um, we got so basically what I did was I went on the internet and searched up like getting to know you questions, right? Like the classic like getting to know you like first date type questions. And there was this website that was like 100 getting to know you questions. And I was like, okay, I can't do 100 questions, but I went through the list and I actually really liked pretty much about I liked about 98% of the questions. There was about 2% which were really dumb, and like I'm not saying like they were like too personal. It wasn't like, tell me about your you know, traumatizing childhood. Like it wasn't like that. But like it was just dumb questions like, Cheez Its or, like white cheddar Cheez Its or, chocolate chip cookies. It's like, all right, come on. I can answer that question in 1 second. And that's uh depends on the day. But but like honestly, like I liked most of the questions on there, and there was 100. So I was like, all right, I can't do 100 questions on a podcast. So I decided maybe, okay, I gotta like split it. And so what I did was I used a random number generator, and I picked, I think, anywhere. I don't know if it's exactly 35, but it's probably anywhere from about 35 to 38 questions that I just randomized on the list and I picked out and I put there. And I'm just gonna answer all of them. I don't know how long this is necessarily gonna take. I don't know how long that I'm going to, spend on this, but I figured, maybe I'll give you guys a little background before. And for those of you that don't know, my name is Anuj Changavi. That should be pretty basic. I feel like I mentioned that like a lot. Changavi gang, Anuj, blah blah blah. You know how it be. I'm 20 years old. That's kind of weird to say. I'm 20. And currently I'm going to school at community college after basically having my freshman year at another school in Southern California, and then deciding just on a variety of factors predicated on the pandemic, as I think I talked about in episode 7 a lot, decided to move back home and am currently going to community college while also trying to pursue this podcast, which has genuinely been one of my dreams for a long time. So that's kind of where I'm at in my life. That's like the basics, like where are you from? Oh, and where am I from? I'm from the Bay Area. You can probably tell by my flags back there, right? So Bay Area strong, 100%. Woo! Um, straight out of Cupertino, you know how it be. But so yeah, those are kind of the basics about me. So I thought I'd just get that out of the way before we hop into the questions. So yeah, but I hope you guys enjoy this type of content, this episode, maybe getting to know me a little better than you probably do. So let's get right into it, right? But yeah, I got about 35 to 38 questions. I don't really know the exact amount. And so I'm just going to go through and answer all of them. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and let's get right into this. All right. Um, so first question that was randomized and that got picked is, what's your favorite type of foreign cuisine? Okay. Well, you can tell this is already written by a white person because they were like, "What's your favorite type of foreign cuisine?" Right. So, yeah, this is definitely written by a white person. So shout out to you, Carly, or Dave, whatever you are. Anyway, but yeah, it's definitely written by a white person. And what is my favorite type of foreign cuisine, as these people ask? Um, but honestly, that's tough, right? Because I do like Indian food a lot. I'm a big Indian food fan. And so like that's basically what I grew up eating, right? Like I didn't grow up eating like white people food, so to speak. Like, what do white people eat for dinner, by the way? Like, is it just like tacos and lasagna and pasta every night? Like, I feel like that's just a lot of carbs. But that's interesting. I feel like there's no like variation with white people food, or do they just like cook other ethnicities' foods every night? It's confusing conversation. But but my favorite type of food, and I'm gonna answer this like besides Indian food, because that's like what I grew up eating every day. Like in my house, it wasn't like pasta every day. It was Indian food every day. My favorite type of food besides Indian food, probably I would debate. It's either Mexican food or Mexican. I would. It's like a three-way tie between like Mexican food, pizza, and um what's the other one? Jesus. I Mexican food, pizza, and Mediterranean food. So like kebabs and shawarma and that type of thing. Those are like my three favorites. So I love, love, love Mexican food. Mexican food is like one of my favorite types of food. Love fajitas, burritos. Just like the spice that you're able to get from like Mexican food is dope. And also it's like you can kind of change it up. That's what I like about it. Is like you don't have to go like burrito all the time, right? You can go quesadilla if you want to sometimes. If you're feeling a little frisky, you can go uh you know, eat some fucking mole, which is, you know, like a specialty, right? If you're feeling a little if you're feeling a little adventurous, you could try tacos or fajitas, right? There's so many different types of variations, and all of it is just like 10 out of 10 solid. And you can also like increase your spice level because like, you know, Mexican food just knows how to do spice well. Have a couple favorite Mexican restaurants out here in the Bay Area. One of my favorites is La Cueva. So shout out to the guys at La Cueva. My guy who works there, he knows me. I love that guy. I don't know his name, but he's super nice to me at the register. So La Cueva, and then another one of my favorite Mexican places is this. It's this taqueria in Santa Cruz. My brother showed me. It's called Taqueria Los Pericos. Fire, fire. Not the one in the South Bay here, but the one in Santa Cruz is really, really good. So I would highly recommend you guys go try that out if you're ever in the Santa Cruz area. Definitely worth it. Very, very solid chicken burrito. So that's my probably my favorite Mexican food. In terms of like pizza, I've just loved pizza since I was a kid. I mean, who doesn't love pizza? It just tastes good no matter what. Like honestly, you can go to like a really bad pizza place and it'll end up good. That's just a fact. But I think my favorite pizza place of all time is the place I work at. And just my favorite pizza of all time is Scissor's Pizza. San Jose, California, represent. So definitely go check out Scissor's if you haven't and you are going to the Bay Area and you're going to be in San Jose. Check out Scissor's. It's the best pizza that ever exists, and there's no other, uh, rebuttal in that conversation for me. And then Mediterranean food. I love Mediterranean food, just soup, whatever it is. Like, and I know there's a lot of variations within Mediterranean food. So there's like Greek food, Moroccan food, you know, all sorts of different things. So I really like souvlaki. Nick the Greek is dope. Yasu, also here in the South Bay, really great. And what's another one, dude? Chicken. Well, kebabs as well. Kebabs are really awesome. You can kind of get kebabs though, like in different formats, like yeah, at Indian restaurants as well or Pakistani places. So, you know, but kebabs, shawarma, you know, that type of thing is definitely my favorite. There's this place called the Shawarma Shack in Santa Clara, which is also really good. So definitely go check all those places out. But those are probably my three favorite types of foreign cuisine, so to speak. Well, cuisine that's foreign to me because Indian food is not foreign to me. That's just, you know, kind of like my regular diet these days. But yeah, that's question number one. Question two that I randomized was what really makes you angry? What really makes you angry? Honestly, man, I have to think about this one because there's not a lot in the outside world that can make me really pissed off. Probably besides, you know, the San Francisco 49ers and the Golden State Warriors. They, you know, they can really they really do get me going sometimes, bro. Like honestly, when people like try to take digs at my players, that gets me pissed. Like honestly, it gets me really really pissed off. Um and that's probably because I mean that's again emotional fan talking, emotional sports fan. I get that. So I mean that's definitely one of the things that does get me angry. I think another one of the things that gets me angry is people who complain because I used to be like that. I used to be someone who'd complain all the time and be like, oh my god, I don't want to do that, and I still do that. I still whine. You can ask my family; they'll probably be like, dude, you're being so hypocritical right now, which is probably true. I do whine sometimes, but I man, I don't like people who complain. I don't like people who make excuses. That's my thing. Excuses makes me really fucking pissed off. It's like, you know, I want to do it, but I have this. You know, I want to do this, but I have that. And it's like, dude, just go out and fucking do something. Like, you know, like go out and just try. Even if you completely suck at something, like go out and just do it. What do you have to lose? I don't understand. You only live once. That's just a fact, right? Like why not make the most of it and go out and really try and do something? You know, like what why do we always have to stay within this box? And like I hate people who are just like, oh, like, you know, can't do that. You know, it's just like it's all excuses, bro. At the end of the day, it truly is. So I think that's one thing that makes me really angry. Another thing that makes me really pretty pissed off is just know-it-alls. Man, know-it-all. Oh my god, people who think they know everything is just so irritating. It's so freaking irritating to watch people who think they know everything, because they just like they just start shooting, like they just start saying everything like, oh yeah, like this, that, and the other, and it just like know it all can turn into like pretentious, which can turn into like something else. So like that's just like, I don't know, that combination for me just doesn't work out that well. So like if I don't like know-it-alls. I like people who know a lot, who are educated, right, who are very smart, and well, like that's a lot of people, right? A lot of people are very smart, but there's also a lot of people who are extremely smart that I know who also are know-it-alls, and like they can't help themselves but share that information. And I get that, right? That's like your way of expressing it. But I like people who are smart and educated in their opinions, but also, take the time to have discourse with people that disagree with them and are open-minded and, want to make genuine changes, that come into conversations wanting to make genuine changes about the way they feel about a subject, right? I think that's important, in terms of, for me, like in terms of like what makes someone um appealing to me, so to speak, right? I think that's definitely the most important thing, in general, when it comes to that type of stuff, for sure. So yeah, I guess know-it-alls is the first thing. My sports teams, of course, and I already forgot the third thing, to be honest, but I'm sure it'll come back to me sooner or later. But yeah, those are the things that make me really angry, for the most part. But honestly, I'm a pretty like relaxed dude, so I honestly don't get really pissed off very easily. Yeah, unless it's my, particular people can really push my buttons. So shout out to you guys. Next question: what was your favorite subject in school? Okay. Um, Honestly, it was calculus. Calculus is beautiful. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just kidding. Um, Favorite subject in school. For those of you that are probably listening to this podcast for like more than 2 weeks, probably know that I hate math. I really despise math. I can respect people who like math because I grew up in an area where everyone, like in their right mind, loved math or pretended to like math or thought math was semi interesting. And math and science like were like the keys to the city in where I grew up, right? Like those were the most important things in the world. Um, but like honestly, I just grew up with like my brain can't necessarily comprehend math and science the way I guess like a lot of people around here, they're able to comprehend that information. Like for me, math is like a whole new language. So when I look at math, I just see numbers and letters and they just all compile together and I'm like, what the frick is going on? This makes no sense. And so that's kind of how I feel about math. But like with science, like I've just never found it interesting. Like genuinely, I've always found science to be very just strange. Like I've found science to just be this thing where it's like we're figuring out different things in terms of like why we got here. But like my mentality has always been like I don't really care why we got here. That's not something that like appeals to me in terms of like that sense, but I care about like where are we going to go? And like how can I make the most of the time that I have here? So like that's what I think about. I think science is trying to answer questions of the past and trying to answer questions of the present, but I don't really care for that necessarily. If that makes sense, I probably didn't word that correctly, but I'm just more focused on myself. And as selfish as that sounds, like I don't really care about science, blah blah blah. I do care about some sort of science. Like obviously, I love futuristic stuff and science fiction is dope. But like, I don't know, science to me is just not a very interesting field. Particularly biology and chemistry and physics. Don't even get me started. I think physics is so boring. And it's just not something that appeals to me as an individual. But my favorite subject in school, the two favorite subjects I love the most are English and history, and those are the two subjects I got the highest grades in school. So that should probably tell you something. Um, but I love English because the books I like. I don't personally. I'm not a big reader. So for the English teachers that are listening to this part, sorry. But I I don't really like reading, but when I do sit down and read a book, if it really captivates me, I'll get through the book in 2 days. Like I'm the type of person who will either not read at all or will read the whole thing super fast. So And I loved the books. I loved a lot of the books that we read in high school. I'm kind of in the minority on that one. I know there's a lot of people that really hated a lot of the books we read in high school. I know, like, but for me, there's a couple mixed bag books for sure. But there was a couple books that I really loved in high school, and a couple of those were The Kite Runner. We read that our sophomore year. That was incredible. I still have like the copy I bought from my sophomore English teacher. Like, it's still in my room somewhere. Um, and then The Things They Carried is one of the most beautiful books I've ever read. It's just the vignettes and the way they like tie together and all of these different things. I actually haven't read it in a long time. I would love to go back and read it. It's just the way that Things They Carried is written is just so nice because it's not really like a story, so to speak, more so than it's a bunch of short stories that somehow connect together and make this like make an experience which you almost like can't consume if it was like in visual format. That's why like a movie for The Things They Carried is like almost impossible to make because it's a bunch of different stories about a bunch of different things that are, happen over a period of time, and it all ties together so nicely. It's just a beautiful book. If you haven't read The Things They Carried, it's a great book. And I think I really like The Great Gatsby as well. We read that our junior year. Just loved The Great Gatsby. I mean, I know it's like a novel that's like of criticism, right? A lot of people say like, oh, it's too white and like this, that, and the other, and like especially in today's day and age. But like the way that like the descriptions of that F. Scott Fitzgerald describes like these parties and the Roaring Twenties is just this. It's an incredible, just like description, and the characters are so complicated. Like I love it. Like just the way that the story is incredible, and it's an American classic, like for a reason in my opinion. I think just the literary sense of the way it's written and of the narrator and of all the different characters, it's just it's a very good book, and would highly recommend it for you guys if you guys haven't read it. So I love English because you can read those books, and there's a lot of books that are interesting, and those, like when you read those books and you come into class like and discuss those topics, like you get into conversations that you don't really have in other classes. Like in math, you're not discussing like what this symbol means in life and then how you can apply it to your own life and your experiences, and have these vulnerable conversations about different topics. Like you can't have that in math, you can't have that in science. Like you're not having, conversations about your life and about this book and about how these two things intertwine with modern society and the society of the past or the society of the novel. Like you can't have those conversations. And in English, the books are a mere medium or a mere like vehicle of transport to get to greater and bigger conversations, which can spark huge ideas. And I think that, to me, in a sentence, is why I love English so much. And history, man, history is so fun. I know history is like studying the past, and I know like earlier I was like, I don't like the past, but like history is so cool, bro. And I think it was really the way it was taught to me was the way it was probably why I love it so much, because in my sophomore year of high school, I had probably the best history teacher ever. Just in the way that he would lecture, the way he would talk about, just like the way he would talk about history in general, just like because we went from the French Revolution all the way to the Cold War. And it was like that's a long period of time, right? But we did that through the whole year. But like just the way that he broke things down, and the way that, shout out to Mr. Davey, by the way, if you're listening to this. The way that Mr. Davey broke things down and just like told history like it was a story, like it was something we could listen to, is something that like, I could sit in class and just I would be on the edge of my seat because I didn't necessarily like know what happened, right? Because I wasn't like that well versed within history. But he was definitely the teacher that just like sparked my interest in all of those different historical eras. And I figured, I mean, through that class, what I realized that like history is about looking at the past and identifying all these mistakes that, whatever it is, kings, rulers, you know, uh, generals, whatever, like big historical figures make, like all the mistakes that they make, and identifying those similar patterns in the future and in the near present, and making sure that doesn't happen, and seeing what's worked in the past and identifying what's worked and maybe seeing if we can apply those things. And so I think history has a lot of applications, and I think we need to have historians in this world, because otherwise, who the hell is going to tell the story of our world? And I think history is the story of our world to an extent. And that's probably why I like it, because it's just one long story. And I had a great teacher who taught us that story wonderfully. And I will always remember my sophomore year of high school. It was the class we were learning about the Cuban Missile Crisis. And the whole class was just so into it, like so into it. Like the way Mr. David was telling the story was just great. And it was like he's talking about the underground bunker and like, how like Russia was literally like a split second away from pressing the button for the nuclear missiles to fire on the Bay of Pigs, right? And or the nuclear missiles to fire and start like a nuclear war with the U.S. And it was like this close, and it was like whoa, whoa, whoa. It's like what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And then he was like getting to the decision. He was talking about like the Kennedy's perspective, and he was talking about Khrushchev's perspective, and he got to Kennedy, and he was like, there was this all important conversation with John F. Kennedy, and the bell rang, and I have the whole class was like, no, like we want to hear more. And he was like, well, that's what Monday's for, and it was just like, oh my god. And so like, it was literally like we were listening to like a movie or like an audiobook, and it was just incredible. And so I think I was just grateful that I had amazing teachers who taught history so well, even A Push and stuff like that, which is AP United States History for those of you that don't know. I just had great professors, or not great professors, great teachers who taught school or taught history really well, and I think that's definitely one of the reasons why I love it so much. Okay, next question: would you rather vacation? And I'm sorry if these themes are kind of going all over the place, but I'm doing my best. Would you rather vacation in Alaska or Hawaii, and why? Huh? Interesting. Honestly, probably rather vacation in Hawaii. I've never been to Alaska personally. I'm one to really want I've actually wanted to go there for a while. I've seen pictures and I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and the glaciers, and obviously with global warming everything's melting soon, so might as well go see the world before everything gets destroyed anyway. Um but yeah, I would much rather see Hawaii. I'm like a warm weather person. I love sitting by the beach doing absolutely nothing and sipping on pina coladas and mai tais. That's my thing. And so I think Hawaii. I've been to Hawaii. I was in Hawaii 2.5 years ago, and it's gorgeous. We were on Maui, which is like I know the most touristy island and basic and stuff, but it was really really nice. I love the beach. I love the ocean. I just loved sitting and doing nothing. That to me is fun. And eating a lot of food and drinking a lot of alcohol. And I think, well, not alcohol. I'm underage, so non-alcoholic drinks, guys. But that's probably my ideal. Like Hawaii is like so nice, and it's just the weather's perfect, and it's not like super humid or anything, and like island vibes are just my vibe. So that's probably why I would choose to vacation in Hawaii, because I'm more of a warm weather type person. But I can understand why people like Alaska, like to go explore and go nature and go like look at different nature. But I think Alaska and Hawaii are just different types of nature. I think Hawaii is like island adventure, and Alaska is like, you know, Arctic adventure. So like, whatever you're up for. I don't personally judge people. So, but yeah, I would prefer Hawaii. Next question. What song best sums you up? I honestly, I don't know. I mean, like I have this like note in my iPhone where I note down like all the songs that I really love, and I call it like the soundtrack to my life, and just like songs that sum up like a year or like a moment in time. I don't necessarily have like songs that sum up like my whole life, but like, some songs that like I feel like really sum up moments in my life are like Listomania by the Phoenix, 1901 by the Phoenix. I know, two Phoenix songs, shout out. Like what else? Uh there's a couple other ones. Bodies by Car Seat Headrest. One of my friends showed that song to me, and I think it sums up a particular moment in my life. Uh Bro, what else? Like um three California by Childish Gambino, 3005 by Gambino, Mirrors by Justin Timberlake. Like I'm listing just like Thunderclouds by Sia and like LSD, I think, and there's a couple other names, but um Island in the Sun. Like these are all just like songs that I think of that are like moments in my life. Like, like whatever, what if it was like sixth grade, like blah blah blah, whatever. Particular just like moments that I equate songs to. And so like those are some of the songs that I have on my list when it comes to those. I would say another song that I have been enjoying recently that I feel like has just been like that I think also is a soundtrack to my life. Jesus can't talk. Um, is well a couple actually by Kid Kuza. Shout out, we had him on the podcast, episode 11. If you're listening to this, appreciate you. '09 Civic Bump and what's the other one? Passion Fruit 30. Those are the two songs I've been listening to a lot recently. And they definitely they just kind of capture my essence in terms of just like when I like where I grew up, and that's probably because Kid Kuza is basically from the same area that I'm from. So shout out to him. And if you don't know, he dropped an EP, so go check it out. So those are two that I think recently I've equated with best songs that have summed me up, so to speak. Next question. All right, I'm gonna get water for this one. All right, next question, man. It's what is your favorite childhood memory? Interesting. Um, my favorite childhood memory, bro, is probably that's hard. So I'll preface it by saying this. I heard on a podcast this week that I heard on a podcast someone was talking about it. And they said that they had the greatest like they had the great American childhood that like is pictured in like the movies and TV. And I was really reflecting back on that. And I was thinking and I was thinking and I was like, dude, I did too. I just had the modern version of that, right? Because this was an older man who was talking about. He said he had the great American childhood in the 50s and 60s in New York. And I was like, I had the great 2000s childhood. I really did, genuinely speaking. Um, and that's probably why I love where I grew up so much. Like I just love the South Bay from the bottom of my heart, like with everything I ever know, just because it's so incredible. The South Bay is the best. And that's just it's where I grew up, and I've seen this place literally grow from like a lot of dead land and a lot of like pastures and like like not pastures but like dead spots of land, and it's just developed into like this concrete conglomerate that it is today. But like when I grew up here, like I've grown up here my whole life pretty much in the Bay Area. And in terms of my favorite childhood memory, I used to live in this neighborhood. It's called the Highlander neighborhood. I think that's what it's called. And it's shout out to 1145 Hollyhead Lane. That was my old house in Cupertino, and I loved my neighborhood, man. I loved my neighborhood because I feel like it was. I feel, and I said this. I think I tweeted this out the other day. Not on my personal Twitter. And I said I think the last people to have a pure childhood were born in the years of 2000 to 2002. And I think after that, I mean, like you just play video games all day, and you didn't really have that summer childhood. And I don't know if it maybe like a lot of people who were our age did go on their phones a lot and did stay inside and play a lot of video games, but like I don't know, just the kids in my neighborhood, it was a lot of kids who were my age or a little older, right? Like anywhere from like 6 to 8 or 9, and or like in terms of that like age, like it was like 2 to 3 year gaps, and we would all just kind of like end up outside. I don't know if it was our parents that necessarily pushed us that way, or it was just we gravitated towards outside, but we just every day, like it would be some new activity. We'd play cops and robbers, or we'd run around the block, or we'd go to the park, which was literally like a 2 minute walk from our houses, and like, or we would like play basketball on the basketball hoop that one of our neighbors set up for us, right? Like it just those types of memories are like it's like the little things about your childhood that I think that people don't forget and people hold on to. We had these things called block parties, where like the whole neighborhood would kind of like get out, and everyone, and like they would block off the street, and the firemen would come. When we were little kids, we'd love it when the firemen would come, and everyone would bring like a different dish, and like that was the beauty like of our neighborhood. And I think that's when I first realized like what a diverse place we lived in, because like you'd like particularly back then. Now it's just like it's little Asia and little India, but like back then, like you would walk past the table at the potluck, and there would just be like there'd be food from all over the world just like there for you. And like whether it be like like apple pie from America, or like like butter chicken from India, or whatever it was, right? There'd just be food from everywhere and from every different type of family, and it was just And they would block off the road, and all the kids would be playing in the street, and we would just, just be a fun time. And there would be like activities for the kids, and there would be, the adults would hang out and talk and vibe. And it was just, the block party was probably, block parties are my, like, some of my favorite childhood memories of all time. I think they still do the block parties now. In my old neighborhood, I went back to one or two, but it's not the same, man. It's not the same as it used to be. It just used to hit different. You know what I'm saying? When you were like 5 or 6 years old, just running around in razor scooters just down the street, those are my favorite childhood memories, probably, of block parties. But just, I think I had the great 2000s childhood. I got to watch all the elite TV shows. I got, you know, to hang out outside in the summer and just waltz around and run around. And my parents didn't particularly like put a lot of restrictions on us. I got to hang out with all the neighborhood kids, and we would play sports, and we would do this and we would do that, and we didn't play a lot of video games and all that. And and it would just literally be like sun up to sundown. We would just be outside. And I think those are my favorite memories, to be honest, in terms of childhood. And that's probably why I equate Cupertino with childhood so much, is because it really was my childhood. So that's my favorite childhood memory. Sorry, I spent too much time on that one. But next question. If you could eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? Oh man, that's tough. There's so many good things that I could, choose here. But honestly, go to Chipotle Burrito Bowl. I know that's like, like, oh my god, like, basic answer, but like, I don't know. I think a burrito bowl is like, to me, is just like, it's easy. It's, it's nutritious, right? So I wouldn't like be putting on the pounds too heavy. But also, I think that you could also vary it up a little bit, right? You could add this, you could add that, you could subtract this, add that, whatever. And so like burrito bowls would definitely be up there if I had to worry about my caloric content, in terms of that, in terms of nutrition. So yeah, I'd pick burrito bowls because I love burrito bowls. I love Chipotle. I'm a Chipotle fiend. Um, One of my favorite places ever. So shout out to Chipotle, sponsor me. But I think if caloric content wasn't an issue, 100% it would be Scissor's Pizza. Oh, I'd eat Scissor's Pizza for every meal of the day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I do anyway. Um, you know, but no, it'd be Scissors Pizza. Yeah, Scissors Pizza is probably what it would be. I just, because I love pizza, or I love that pizza, and it's too good. But as my parents say, too much of something can also be bad. So maybe it would be bad after a certain point. I think you do get sick of it. Haven't gotten sick of it yet, and I've been working there for a minute. So there you go. So that's good. Uh, Next question. What celebrity would you like to meet at Starbucks, aka Starbeans, for coffee? Um, Man, there's so many. I think the one person that I would love to meet at Starbucks for coffee, or Starbeans, I would just love to meet, like, Hassan Minaj. Like, honestly. Like, I say that from the bottom of my heart, right? Like, I know, like, I've mentioned a couple times that I've wanted Hassan for episode 100 of the podcast. And that's most definitely true. And that offer still stands. So if anybody related to Hassan, or anybody in that sphere hears this message, please pass it on to him. Would love to get something done. Um, but I think he's the one person I just love to meet in general, and I think, Starbucks would just be a medium for that. I don't know if he likes coffee or anything. Um, Maybe not. If he doesn't, we can go. My mom can make us chai. But I don't know. I think he's just someone that I would love to have a conversation with, because I feel like, he's kind of that catalyst Indian celebrity. If you want to make it in entertainment, you look at Hassan Minaj. You want to be the next Hassan Minaj, even though, like, I think being the next of someone, next of kin, is kind of problematic. But like, I think he's just someone that has a lot of stories. He was really one of the first, or he's one of the first, like, big household names to really like put himself out there as a South Asian. He kind of grew up very similar to a lot of, like, the way I did, or the way that a lot of my friends did. And so I think that's why the conversation would be so easy. And yeah, honestly, but I can't not mention that I would also love to meet, like, love to meet Yes Theory over coffee. Like, I think Yes Theory would just, I mean, I would just, I literally just be like, tell me all your stories and like just make them tell me everything. Cause I feel like just the crazy shit that they've done in the last 5 to 6 years. And I know they're not really celebrities. So for those of you that don't know, Yes Theory is a YouTube channel. They have like 6 million subscribers. I've been following them since about 80K. So I do know that I actually commented on one of their videos and they responded flex. But like yeah, I've known of Yes Theory since like they were, like 2017 almost. So like way back. And they've just, they've obviously exploded in growth and they've become what they are today and they deserve all of it. And I would just love to talk to them about like how they've grown and like the journey and the stories that they've gone on and all the adventures that they've done, how they've jumped off a freaking helicopter in the Grand Canyon, how they've, asked strangers to do the craziest shit, how they've literally taken a road trip over the Mexican border, like all these just crazy things. I would love to have a conversation with them about that, and I think they would be the other people that I would love to meet and hang out with for sure. Next question: what is one thing you will never do again? Oh man, oh man, that's tough. Trying to think, bro. Honestly, huh? One thing I'll never do again. Probably, man. I don't know. I don't really have that many like, oh, I'm never gonna do that again type things. Um, like I guess box jumps. Like I'm still like scarred from doing box jumps because there's this one time my junior year of high school where I was at like our weight room at our high school, and that's where I used to work out. Um, and I was working out and I was doing my workout. I would go in there like 3 times a week. It was like my physical fitness grind mode, right? And it was a start. Like I didn't really know what I was doing partially, I was figuring things out, but like I was really on that grind and I decided one day to do box jumps and I did a couple box jumps and I was like, all right, this is good. I'm gonna get the higher box. And I got the higher box and I got it. And I did a couple and I was like, I can do this. I can do this. And I box jumped one of them. And like I think one of my feet, like my left foot made it on the box, but my right foot like went underneath. And so I flipped and I hit my elbow, bam, right on the concrete. And at first, like I was like, like I just hit my funny bone. So I was like, shaking it out and everything. But then I quickly realized, like, oh shit, yeah, no, I did it. And because I went after doing box jumps, I was like, all right, it's feeling a little weird. I'm gonna do push-ups. I did 3 push-ups, man, and it was the most painful push-ups I've ever done in my life. And I was going down and up, right? And your fucking elbow, and this elbow hurts so bad. And I was like, ow. Um, so I've been scarred from box jumps ever since. I know like I've been to the gym probably a handful of times since then, but like I can never I can't jump anymore. Like jumping scares me. On jumping onto objects genuinely scares me. And I know I'm tall, so I'm supposed to have hops as the kids call it these days, but I no. Box jumps have always scarred me, and all my friends are probably gonna be laughing at that story because they have laughed and laughed and laughed that I broke my elbow doing box jumps. So funny stuff. Um, if you could, okay, next question. If you could live anywhere, where would it be and why? Okay. Um, this is the simplest question I'll answer today, and that's here, the Bay Area. That's honestly, it's the one place I would live. Any like out of the whole entire world, one place I would live, Bay Area, hands down. Not even like a conversation for me because let me tell you why. I'm blessed that my parents have valued travel and every year would take us on family vacations all over the world. Whether that be Europe uh, or Central America or, I've never really been to Asia, but like mostly Europe and throughout this country. And I've been privileged to go to a lot of places. I've been to a lot of places. I've been to a lot of different cities and a lot of different worldwide places. And honestly, there's obviously a few places I absolutely love, and probably a couple of those places that I can list off the top of my head are LA. I love LA. I think I could see myself living in LA for a bit. My like I wouldn't say Miami, but I really liked the 24 hours I was in Miami. I would love to go back and visit, and then maybe I can make a well-formed opinion on that. And London. London is the one place where I just fell in love with, and it's probably the second closest besides LA in terms of places I would live. But In terms of like a place I would guarantee to live in, why? It's the Bay Area. I mean, it's got everything you ever want, dude. It's perfect weather. It's April and it's 75 degrees. I don't understand what you can complain about. Yeah, shit is expensive. Yeah, California taxes, big whoop. Okay, you pay the taxes because you live in this beautiful area. You have every single thing you could ever want, whether that be, you know, great food options, whether that be like wanting to go to the beach. Great. Santa Cruz is 25 minutes away. Do you want to go to the mountains? Great. Lake Tahoe's a 3.5 hour drive away, right? Like everything is so close by. Redwood Forest, bam, San Francisco, hour, 10-minute drive away, right? Depending on where you are. Like, oh, like I want to, go, see a cool like underground city. Great, Oakland, right? I want to go to tech. Great, San Jose. I want to go to more of an art scene. Great, San Francisco. So there you go, right? And it's like that's what the Bay Area is. The Bay Area represents just this like mosh pit of everything I ever want in a place, and it's here. And I love my home, and I would never like, and I'm not saying like I want to live in my parents' house for the rest of my life. No, but like I would just love to live in the Bay Area, and the Bay Area is a big place, and there's a lot of places you can move to, and I think the Bay is definitely my number one place that I would want to live in for the rest of my life because you have literally everything, whether it be weather, whether it be food. What else do you look for? I mean, like housing. Housing is like readily available. Is it cheap? No, that's the one downside. I mean, everything else is like there, like that you could ever want really in a city, like social life. Yeah, go move to San Francisco, go move to Oakland. So there's shit to do, and I absolutely love it here, and I just don't see myself like wanting to ever really settle anywhere else besides Northern California and the Bay Area. So I love my home. So yeah, that's the one place I think I would live in the world. Would you rather trade? Oh, next question, by the way. Would you rather trade intelligence for looks or looks for intelligence? Um, Intelligence for looks. That's probably pretty easy because I don't know. I feel like looks would fade. Looks fade, man. I feel like you can only look so good for a certain amount of time, if that makes sense, like physically. But like uh, inside, like that's what matters. And if you are genuinely interesting and you are intellectual and you have a lot of interesting things to say, that takes you farther in life, honestly, than looks do. Looks can get you in the door, but intelligence is the thing that can, make you. Intelligence is the thing that can take you over the top. And looks is a part of it for sure. I definitely agree. I definitely think that if you are good looking, you have a better chance of doing a lot of things for sure. For sure, it is easy. Or yeah, it's not easy, but it is easier. It opens up a little more doors. But intelligence can open up a hell of a lot more and can expand um, you know, your range and everything that you have in front of you. And I think when it comes to looks and looks for intelligence, I would presume that I would keep the same looks that I have now, which I'm pretty comfortable with anyway. So I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll just take intelligence. Uh, but I would presume if I were to pick looks, then would I keep the same intelligence? I don't know. The premise of the question is weird, but I would do intelligence for looks because it matters what's on the inside, not on the outside. So yeah. Um, if you could go back in time and change one thing, what would it be? Uh Honestly, I don't know. That's tough. I wouldn't really want to change one thing, but if I had to, uh, in terms of the modern era, I've always looked at 9/11 as the turning point of not only just shit for brown Americans, and I'm not being like selfish towards like, just brown people, but like I think in terms of just like everything that has gone on politically and everything that all the mess that we've gotten into is because of 9/11. And so if 9/11 never happened, America would be in a much different state. I feel like we would have grown more. We would have become more accepting of other ideals. We would have, this, that, and the other, and things would have changed. I think 9/11 was definitely a catalyst for a lot of different things and a lot of negativity that we could have prevented. I know 9/11 is super recent, and all of that, and there's a bunch of different other historical events that I could have prevented from happening, but I think 9/11 is the one that I'm gonna pick because it's so like it was so bad. Like it was so bad for the modern era. And it's like it's just, we are still recovering from the effects of 9/11, right? And 9/11 was almost 20 years ago now. So I know it's a super touchy event and there was quite a few lives lost and all this stuff. But yeah, 100%. If I had to go back and change one event, particularly in my lifetime that just affected everything, 9/11. Yeah. Do Next question. Yeah. What's the tallest building that you've been on top of? Interesting question. The tallest building I've actually been on top of is the Burj Khalifa, which is the second tallest building technically in the world now, because apparently the Jeddah Tower in Saudi Arabia really overtook that, and that's like a mile into the sky. It's pretty crazy. But yes, I actually a couple years or almost 4 years ago, when my family went to India, we stopped in Dubai for a bit, and I got the privilege to go and explore the Burj Khalifa. And me and my family went to the Burj Khalifa, and we went up to like the top floor. It was like floor 160 something, and we looked out at the balcony, and you could see. We went at night, so you couldn't really see like the landscape or anything. But it was, man, it was windy up there. First of all, second of all, I was genuinely like scared for my life. I'm not really scared of heights, but like when you step out onto that balcony, it's pretty narrow, and there was like a lot of people out there, so I was genuinely pretty scared. Um, but yeah, the Burj Khalifa is definitely is the tallest building I've been on top of, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, no lie, because you could see like the lights for literally like 50, 60, 70 miles almost up from up there. It's crazy. Um, and I didn't get up to like the very top, right? Like the rooftop, because I mean, I think that's like restricted access only for employees or whatever, but it was pretty cool, man. It was pretty cool to head up to the top of the Burj Khalifa, and the elevator goes so quick too. Uh, so loved it. Um, would I do it again? Maybe, maybe. Next question. What's the longest you've gone without sleep and why? Interesting. Honestly, I think the longest I've gone without sleep is like 2 days. And that was 2000. So that was 2 years ago. And that was when I graduated high school, literally the day of. So the day I graduated high school, there's this thing at my high school called the senior or like called grad night, which is basically like an all night party. So your parents or whatever, like you get dropped off at school or you drive up to school at like 8:30, and you're there till basically 6 a.m. So it's like an all night party, and you basically go and there's a bunch of food and there's a bunch of activities and there's a bunch of all sorts of different things that you can do. And so basically it's just like it's a lot of fun, and they like your whole high school class is there, and you basically just party it up for like 12 hours, and then they kick you out at 6 in the morning. So I went to that, and then I stayed up till 6 a.m. that day, and then went home. And my some of my good friends were graduating from a neighboring high school the next day at literally 9 a.m. So I ended up just staying up the 2 hours and then going to their graduation. I hung out with them afterwards till about 5 or 6, and then I ended up just like going to bed at a normal time that next day. So I literally like didn't go to sleep for like 2 days, and it was so tiring. I ended up sleeping for like 14 hours that day. So yeah, but that's like the longest I've been awake, so to speak. I tend to sleep a lot. I'm tend to be someone who's pretty strict with the sleep schedule. I'm not like an insomniac. I'm not awake all the time, so yeah, nothing like really crazy, no crazy story there. So yeah. Um, Next question is, what did you want to be when you were a little kid? This is a good story. When I was a little kid, I actually wanted to have 7 jobs for 7 days of the week because I love so many different things. So I wanted to be an actor for one day. I think I wanted to be a 411 operator that like back when 411 existed. The next day, so I could talk to people and guide them to specific places. I wanted to work at Chipotle one day. I wanted to work at Scissoros one day, so I could get free food at both those places. I wanted to. What was another thing I wanted to do? I think uh, I wanted to be like an astronaut one day, and then and then on the weekends I would take one day off, and then I think I wanted to be something else. I forget, but it was like 6 jobs for 6 days of the week, and then I would take one day off. But yeah, so I wanted to be a lot of things. I didn't necessarily have like one job in mind that I always wanted to do. And obviously, I think over time, like that morphed into different things. And like I wanted to be a journalist for a little bit, through elementary and middle school. And then I thought I really wanted to get into sports journalism, and I really wanted to write columns and stuff. And so that's what I really thought was the plan, was like in high school and stuff. Like I thought I was gonna, be a legit journalist and talk about news and all of these things. And then I realized I didn't want to do that. And then I thought I wanted to be play by play. So like what play by play is like, if those of you that know Joe Buck, he does like the Super Bowl and stuff like that. You basically just kind of talk about the game. Um, and then there's like the expert analyst, and you would just be the play-by-play guy who's like, "Oh, on first down, it was a complete pass from Jimmy Garoppolo to Brandon Ayuk there at the 10-yard line," right? So it's like it's that type of thing. So I thought I wanted to do that for a bit, and then I realized I hated it, or not hated it. It was just I couldn't do it, and I couldn't do sports journalism in general because I was not willing to give up being a fan for those two teams that you see behind me, the Niners and the Warriors. And yeah, I literally gave up all hope of being a journalist because I love those two teams so much that I couldn't ever give up being a fan to be an objective person. And that was just a decision that I made, honestly, a conscious one. And then that formed into my love for writing and then screenwriting and, obviously different things. But now I want to do this full time. I want to be a YouTube influencer, make hashtag organic shit. No, but I want to make videos and make podcasts and stuff like that full time. So that's where I'm at right now. But yeah, when I was small, I wanted to do a lot of different things. And I had 7 different jobs for 7 different days of the week, or 6 different jobs for 6 different days of the week. Yeah. Next question is, what is your favorite thing about your career? So technically, is this my career yet? I haven't made much money off of it. To be honest, I haven't really made much money at all off podcasting. It's actually been a negating investment, so to speak. But I think my favorite thing about podcasting and just this podcast in general so far, it's probably been the fact that I have an excuse to talk to literally anyone I ever want to, right? It's because, like, if you want to talk to a celebrity and you're a normal person, you're like, oh, I really want to meet him. But, like, how do you approach that conversation? You know what I'm saying? But, like, being a podcaster, being a quote unquote member of the media, a member of the press, gives you an excuse to kind of talk to people that you would never be able to talk to about their career, about these things, and have a structured conversation about different stuff. And I think that's what I love the most about podcasting is it gives me an excuse to talk to people who I think are really cool and I genuinely would talk to anyway. And hopefully one day I'll be able to be paid to do that for a living. Wouldn't that be cool? So I think that's what my favorite thing is about being a podcaster, is that I could potentially be paid to just have conversations with people I love. So yeah. How many pillows do you? Okay, this is the next question. It's really random. How many pillows do you sleep with, and do you still sleep with stuffed animals? So I sleep with 4 total pillows. I have 2 smaller pillows and then 2 of like the bigger pillows, and I stack them on top of each other at night, and it gives me more of a headrest. So that's why I sleep with 4 pillows. And do I still sleep with stuffed animals? Yes, I do. I have 2. I have my little orangutan and I have my little Donald Duck, and I had Simba, but Simba disappeared somewhere. So those were I used to have 3, but now I have 2. And honestly, that's just more of like an accident. The stuffed animals just kind of ended up in my room, and I just kind of sleep with them every day. They're nice to cuddle with. And they're like also nice little pillows as well. Um, so I think that's why, honestly, I sleep with stuffed animals. It's not like I'm attached to them or anything, but it's fun. So yeah. On a scale from 1 to 10, how funny are you? Dude, 1. I'm not even funny, bro. Like, I just, no. If I had to honestly rate myself in terms of my like humor, I'd put myself as like I find myself hilarious. So I would rank myself as a 15 out of 10, right? I like laugh at every single one of my jokes. I honestly though, like objectively speaking, if I was another person, I'd probably be like a 7 or an 8. I like to think I'm funnier than the average human being, but I'm not like so funny that everything you say, like everyone laughs their ass off, right? And I think this goes with every type of person is you have to like have a specific, like, people who like your humor love your humor, right? And that's what I like about some of my friends, is that they like my humor, and so they laugh at my jokes, and that's funny. But there's a lot of people who like don't like my sense of humor. I have a very dry sense of humor, I have a very sarcastic sense of humor, and if you don't like that, then you are not gonna enjoy my company, because I do make a lot of dry jokes, I make a lot of sarcastic jokes. Uh my sense of humor is very different, so to speak, than the conventional sort of like, haha, I tell jokes. So that's my sense of humor. My sense of humor is also puns and dad jokes too. and videos of people falling out of chairs. Like I find that shit hilarious, right? And politically incorrect stuff as well. I think that's so funny. Not like super politically incorrect stuff, but like just on the line. I think there's a line. But we can get into that on a later episode because I plan on doing that soon. So yay. But yeah, I think those are the things. If I had to rank myself objectively, I'm at like a 7. But if I were to rank myself as Anuj and how hilarious I think I am, I think I'm fucking 200. So yeah. If you were the ruler of your own country, what would be the one law you would pass? I don't know. I don't know. I like maybe like a national like free food day. I haven't really thought of this, to be honest. I haven't thought this through, but I don't know. I would just love it if like every restaurant in my like ruler of my country would just give out free food for a day, and that's just because I love food so much. So I would just go around and eat all my favorite places for a day and get super bloated. Honestly, that would probably be the one law I would pass is one day a year you have to give out free food. But that's about it. Honestly. I haven't thought this one through, so I don't have like a legit question. But if I were to be like serious about it, honestly, like it would definitely have to do something with like equality. I'm very passionate about everyone being equal. Um, it doesn't matter if you're like whatever you are, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, or not like class equal. Like I'm fine with like capitalism and class and stuff like that. But in terms of like everyone has an equal opportunity to succeed, that is like my main thing, right? Like I want everyone to have an opportunity to do well. And I think that's important to me. And I think it would have to do something with equality. I wouldn't know exactly what the law is. I haven't fully thought it through, but it would be something along that theme, so to speak, because I do value fairness and equality a lot. And I do hope that we can strive for a more equal future. Anuj, 2024. No, I'm kidding. See, I found that funny. That's why I'm 200. I find myself funny. Anyway, next question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do I see myself in 5 years, bro? In 5 years, I, man, I haven't thought like till down. I don't even know what I'm getting for dinner, like let alone 5 years. I think 5 years. Where do I see myself? I see myself in 5 years, hopefully making some sort of money off this podcast. And I'm being honest, making some sort of money off this podcast, hopefully with more of a clear direction as to where I'm going with the podcast, and hopefully just happy, just continuing to pursue what I love. As long as I am happy, that's all I care about. You know what I'm saying? Like I could have $0. I could have 10 cents in my bank account. I could have $5 million in my bank account. But as long as I'm content, and as long as I'm cool with what I'm doing and I'm happy and I'm not sad or like, feeling any sort of way, that's all you can ever ask for. And like I think that's where I hopefully see myself in 5 years, is getting to the point where I can feel content with where I'm at. And that doesn't mean that like I strive to be, content with where I'm at, but like just be more content, because I feel like I've always had this thing my whole life where I'm not content with where I'm at. And I feel like I need to do more and I need to push myself and I need to do this and I need to do that. But maybe just coming around to like accepting myself for who I am more, and accepting the fact that yes, maybe sometimes it's going like you need to just be like, okay, this is okay. This is fine. But in 5 years, honestly, I hopefully see myself with a clear direction with the podcast. I hope to see this podcast grow. I hope to see more of you. I hope to maybe do some in-person interviews, get my own studio. There's a lot of goals. Obviously, 5 years is a long ways away, and we'll see what happens in 5 years. In 5 years, I will be 25. My God, I don't even want to think about that. I'd be a quarter of the way through my life. First quarter over. Crazy stuff. But yeah, hopefully. I think 5 years from now is obviously a long time, but I'm hoping that I'll have a clearer direction in terms of just where I want to be with my career. Okay, next question. Is there a fashion trend that you wish to make a comeback? No. No, I truly do not care about fashion in any way, shape, or form. You guys could probably tell just based on the way that I dress to my podcast. I truly do not care about fashion. I think fashion is so overrated. I think it's like I get it's like a way for people to express themselves through how they're feeling with their clothes and this, that, and the other. But like honestly, I just want to wear what's comfortable. Like I don't really care about Louis Vuittons or lucky brands or like what looks good or what like looks objectively good. Like I don't really care about any of that. I care about just like me feeling good in my like clothes. And if I feel good in sweatpants or athletic shorts, I'm gonna wear fucking athletic shorts or sweatpants. I don't really care. This is why I hate this element of like suits. Like that's why I can never wear a suit in my life. And if I ever do, it'll be the rare occasion of something very spectacular is happening. So that's the only reason I'd wear a suit. But yeah, honestly, no, I don't wish there's any fashion trend that comes back. I don't really appreciate fashion that much, and some of you may roast me for it. So, anyway, what's your favorite family tradition? Um, Interesting. If I had to pick one of like my favorites, I mean, there's a few. Like, there obviously like there's like we celebrate all the Indian holidays like Diwali and like Ganesh Chaturthi and all that stuff, and that's fun. And like but I think it's more so like the little things and like the little traditions that we have for particular like American holidays that I can think of that I love. I used to love our Diwali parties back in the day that we used to do as a family. That was used to be a lot of fun. Those were more when I was little though. Haven't been doing them recently. But I think the one thing like that sticks that I like the most, favorite family tradition is probably our New Year's Day tradition for the longest time, for like 10 years, has always been wake up in the morning or like wake up whenever, because usually New Year's Eve goes long, and then wake up in the morning, read horoscopes with coffee, and then go and see a movie at night. It's just something that we've always done, I think, as a family. We didn't do it this year, really. We had more of a modified tradition, obviously, because of COVID. We couldn't hit the theater or anything. But I've always loved the movie theater, and I love seeing movies with my family. That's like one way we've always spent time together. Is we've always gone to movies, and with COVID, that's kind of taken that away from us. So I'm really excited for all of us to hopefully hit a movie soon. Should be exciting. I just love the movies, man. I get pumped every time I'm at the movies. It's like Disneyland too. So those are like two of my favorite places. But yeah, I think New Year's Day, that tradition is a lot of fun. What's your favorite holiday? 420, obviously. I know that's coming up. No, I'm kidding. No, 420 is not my favorite holiday. I think my favorite holiday is my birthday. It always has been, it always will be. My birthday is like a very special day to me for some reason. I've always felt that like on my birthday, I am special and I'm the shit and no one can fucking stop me. I can do whatever I want. And I've always felt that way. I don't know why I felt that way on my birthday. Um, but I've always felt that on my birthday, like I can be whoever I want to be, and I can just like be, wear sweatpants all day, or like go to the movies, or like eat a bunch of crappy food and do whatever I want, and people will be like, okay, let's do it. And so that's fun to me. I love that. I love doing that. I love when people are with it and love that whole vibe. So my birthday is a lot of fun. I enjoy my birthday tremendously, and hopefully you all can celebrate with me for 21, maybe, or maybe later, depending on how this pandemic goes. So anyway, next question. What's your favorite zoo animal? I mean, I don't really have an opinion on this, to be honest, but lions, tigers, maybe, I guess. And these are all randomized, so like you could see like some of my questions. Some of these questions are like less interesting to me than others, but yeah, I mean, I do fuck with like lions and tigers. I mean, I know that's like the very basic answer. It's like, oh, lions, tigers. Yeah, every 8-year-old boy loves those things in age, but like they're cool though. So like, why can't I like them? Yeah. So that's my answer to that question. um, Next question. How long does it take to get you, or how long does it take you to get ready in the morning? Oh man, I have it down to a fucking science, bro. I can get like when I was going to school, not like college, but in like high school, because that was really the last time where I had like structured routine in the morning and shit. Sorry for moving my head around, by the way. My neck has been fucking killing me this today. Um, But back in high school, I had it down to like a science because my every day, right, my dad would always start yelling at me to get up at like 7:30. He'd be like, Anuj, it is 7:30. Wake up, please. And I'm like, no, I don't want to wake up. And then like 7:40 would pass, and then like 7:45, and then my dad would start yelling, Anuj, it is 7:50. School starts at 8:15. Get up now. And I'm like, all right, yeah, it's time to definitely get up here. Wouldn't wake up till 7:55, but I wake up at 7:55 and then quick, brush the teeth, couple minutes, shower, couple minutes, be out of the house by 8 with a banana halfway down my mouth, and then boom, be at school by like 8:13 to like 8:17. So I was cool with being a little late to school. It didn't really matter to me, that, to be honest. But yeah, anywhere from like 10 to 15 minutes, I can go. I'm quick that way. I don't really take a long time. I don't have to do my makeup or anything. I don't really like particularly have any routine, or like in terms of like if I had to go to school. That was like way back. That was like 2 years ago. Now, like in the morning, can I get ready in like 20 minutes? Yeah, I can. It doesn't take me that long. If money was no object, what would you do all day? Podcast. No, I would podcast all day. Honestly, though, I would. I would do a lot of podcasting. I would do a lot of content creating. I would do a lot of just like hang out and go on adventures and record myself doing stupid shit and do YouTube and podcasting and all this stuff and talk with people and spend time with my family and friends and eat a lot of food and you know spend time by the beach. That's honestly what I would do. I live very simple. I'm very simple. I don't require a lot. I don't require a fancy car like a Tesla or any of this stuff. And I wouldn't really want to travel around the world. I would just want to hang out in the Bay Area and enjoy this beautiful place that I live in, and have the serviceable car and the serviceable house, and just kind of be able to live and record podcasts and have fun and hang out and maybe live a little bit more of a relaxed lifestyle, so to speak, than I do now, and definitely drop out of school. If money was no object, that's what I would do right now for sure. Yeah. If you could choose to do anything for a day, what would it be? Well, I mean, that's what my birthday is for. That's literally like that's the epitome of what my birthday is. Like I just choose what I want to do on my birthday. I plan it all out and I go do it. And I bring my family with me. I bring my friends with me and they just come with. And that's what my birthday is. My birthday is my day. It's my day that I get to do whatever I want. And if and I love it. That's why it's my favorite day of the whole year, because I do it every year. One day a year, I always do whatever I want, and that's my birthday. And that's the best part. That's what I love. That's what I've loved about my birthday, and I think that's why I like it, because it's literally like I think it's the one like true self care day I give myself per year. So shout out. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? I'm an introvert, man. I really am. Like I always used to think I was a big time extrovert. Like I was someone who was like who loves talking to people and like this. Oh my god, loves partying and clubbing. No, fuck that, dude. I love being by myself or being with like groups of like 3 or 4 people. That's my ideal thing, right? Like I don't really like frat parties. Like I went to a couple in college, wasn't a big fan. Like everything's all sweaty and musty and gross, and definitely breaks all COVID protocols. But I mean, I think I would just I am very introverted. Like I don't really like talking to like a big group of people like all the time. Like I like entertaining people, like that's fun, but like I just don't thrive, I think, in big settings. I think I thrive more in small groups and with small people, which is ironic, right? Because people are like, "Oh my god, an inch, shouldn't you be an extrovert because you have a podcast?" Like, no, not necessarily, right? I'm literally having one-on-one conversations with people. So, I think that's why I love it so much, is because it's intimate and that I can kind of have a conversation with the person without being interrupted by 50 other people. And so I would call myself more of an introvert. And I love just staying to myself. Like I spend a lot of time alone and I love it. And I like just hanging out by myself. So yeah, that's it. Would you want to be stranded? Who would you want to be stranded on a deserted island with? Honestly, we could do actually, I'll change this question around. Who would you want to be stranded on a deserted island with your podcast guests? That's okay. So in terms of that, if I were to change that around like that, Out of all the people I've had on the podcast, okay, yeah. I mean, I feel like with my brother, we just fight all the time, and it would just wouldn't be fun. And he'd be like, "Oh my god, stop!" And like he would just make fun of me and beat me up and say I was a wuss. So I wouldn't want to do that. But I think if I were to like be stranded on an island with a podcast guest, I would probably pick. Um, I don't know. I'd probably pick Grant, just because I feel like we just talk about the Niners all day, so that'd be fun. And then I'd pick my guy Rahul. I think he's fun. I think we just have a good time. We just like me, Grant, and Rahul just have fun talking sports all day. In terms of survival, who would I pick? Like, yeah, I just pick the strongest people that I have. But that on the podcast. But like, yeah, I feel like me if I just bring on like Grant and Rahul, we just like chill and talk and hang out, and it would just be a good time, and we just buy our time until. And I think all of us would vibe well, and we would just vibe and talk about sports and hang out on the island until we just got picked up by some helicopter. So yeah, that's the answer to that question. Uh, Next question: what's the craziest thing? And there's two more, by the way. So like this one and the last one, we're done. What's the craziest thing you've done? Oh my lord! In the name of love. If not, name your childhood crush. Oh man. Oh man, I'm gonna have to expose myself. Shit. Not excited for this one. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So basically, craziest thing I've done in the name of love. It's not that crazy to be honest. It's just like really weird and embarrassing. But like in the eighth grade, I really liked this girl, and I asked her to the dance. They called it activity nights where I went to middle school, and she said no, and I was sad and a little simp. And so I wrote a song, but I didn't actually write a song. I used this song called Out of My League by Fitz and the Tantrums, and I basically like combined that and Come On Eileen together and like put the lyrics of Come On Eileen over the Fits and the Tantrums beat or over the Out of My League beat, and I was like simping over this girl, and I code worded it as I code worded her as Eileen, and they all my friends from middle school know that like they were like, oh my god, Eileen. When they hear that name, they just laugh their asses off. But yes, that was what I did. It was not fun. Was it in the name of love? Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, I think that was probably the craziest thing I did in the name of love. But it wasn't even that crazy. So that's why I'll just answer the second question, I guess. If not, name your childhood crush. And my childhood crush's name, uh, well, my childhood crush, I'm talking like fourth grade. Her name was Lauren. I had a huge crush on Lauren. The thing is, like, it wasn't like one of those like classic crushes where it's like, I barely talk to you, but I still like you. Right? It wasn't like that, but it was like we would hella talk, but we would just fight all the time. And so like we'd just be mean to each other the whole time. Like she would just be like, oh my god, stop doing that. And I'd be like, stop. And then just like be arguing over stupid shit like pencils and erasers and whatever fourth graders argued over. And I somehow found that attractive in fourth grade, and I just had a big crush on her. Nothing ever sufficed of this crush with Lauren. Don't know where Lauren is at now. That's her real name, but I mean, obviously Lauren's a really common name, so people won't ever like be able to track her down or anything. But yeah, she was my high school or not my high school crush, my childhood crush. Was Lauren, and there was also another one. This one's kind of a fun story. So back in sixth grade, it was my first day of school, first day of middle school, and I walked into the school and I was like trying to desperately find my class, and I was like running down the hallway. I was like, "Where's room 9? Where's room 9?" And I was like running, and I just had this fleeting moment with this girl. I don't know who this girl is. For those of you that are probably going to ask me, I don't know her name. I genuinely don't know who this was. But it was this fleeting moment where this girl walked by and she was wearing this Vernon Davis jersey. And Vernon Davis jersey and jean shorts. And I was like, oh my God, be my wife, please. Like I literally was just like, wow, wow. Like it was just one of those moments of like fleet where I was like, Vernon Davis girl just like walked away, right? And it was like, because Vernon Davis was one of my favorite players on the Niners at the time. So it was just like this moment where I was like, oh my God, girl likes sports, 49ers. And she's cute. Like, so it was one of those fun moments. And so yeah, I think that was those were my two childhood crushes. And I honestly have never really like those were just, that fleeting moment was just fun. But yeah, that was Vernon Davis girl was like middle school crush for sure. And then would you rather, and then this is the last question, would you rather ride a bike, ride a horse, or drive a car? Bro, ride a horse. Horses are sick, bro. Riding a horse everywhere would be so lit. Like you could just hit the saddle and just like be like, oh, I'm going to go to San Jose. Get up, horse. Nah! And it'll just go. Like that would be so cool. That'd be so cool. Wouldn't that be sick? If you could just like ride a horse everywhere and it's like, oh, I'm sorry. This is my horse, Stefan. Right? Like that's so lit. It's so lit. You could just be like a fucking medieval knight riding everywhere on your little horse. Oh man. But yeah, I think that's what I would do is ride a horse. I don't know how many questions that exactly was, guys. Probably around 35. But thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys did to the end of the episode, I hope you guys really liked this. I hope it was super enjoyable. I hope there was a lot of you guys got to know me a little better. I answered a lot of questions. And I'm kind of tired now. But if you guys did like this episode, go like the video on YouTube. And if you're not on YouTube, go follow me on Spotify to get all the notifications for when episodes and thoughts of the week and all these little things that I'm doing drop, because it's a lot of fun. So do it and join the community, and it's a great time. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate every single one of you from the bottom of my heart. Twitter, Instagram, all linked down below. Go check that out as well to stay updated with the podcast and everything that's going to come out as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. A little conversation with yours truly. Hopefully you got to know me a little better. All right, anyway, I'm out, guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace. Thank you guys for watching or listening, whatever it is. I hope that episode was at least entertaining for the few of you that stuck around here to the very end. And hopefully you guys learned a little something about your boy. I know it's been 18 episodes, but there's never been a formal introduction between me and you. So I guess this is the equivalent of that. So I hope you guys learned a little something. And all the folks out there who love me and think I'm the star of the show, appreciate it. Love you too. Haha. For real though, I had a lot of fun just kind of being myself and goofing around, answering a lot of these questions that were random that I picked off the internet, and honestly just having a good time in general. If you guys like, me being myself and watching and listening to me shooting the shit and telling stories about dumb stuff or commenting on very stupid issues, feel free to comment down below in the YouTube video if you're watching on YouTube. Or if you're listening on Spotify, feel free to DM me on any of my social media platforms. I love doing this type of stuff. And I just love having fun. And I want to, you guys to kind of get to know me and feel like you're semi-connected to who I am. So if y'all are into it, I would love to make more. Just let me know. But you know the drill. Go like the video. Go subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, go ahead and hit that follow button. Would be much appreciated. If you guys don't know, my social media links are also down below, so go ahead and click those and hit me with the follow on Instagram and Twitter. Would appreciate both of those things. And yeah, on top of that, go follow me on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all that good stuff. We want more followers, want more community, want to get more clout, and eventually become the king podcaster. No, I'm kidding. But eventually just become as big as we can be, because this community is great. So anyways, that's all I got. I hope you guys enjoyed that hour of entertainment provided by yours truly. And it was a lot of fun to make. This type of content. So hope again that you guys got some value out of it. But I hope you all have a great day, afternoon, or night whenever you're listening to this. I hope your week is just fantastic. And yeah, that's all I got. Peace.